Well, the fireworks continued in Clackamas County today. That's where the sheriff is sparring with county commissioners over her budget for the upcoming year. Sheriff Angela Brandenburg says that the county is giving her a $5 million cut. She doesn't like it. She said the county board expects her to use money from a levy that she says is only meant to be used for law enforcement in rural parts of the county, that the county leaders want her to use that to make up the difference. Commissioners say, hey, she has plenty of money. Today, a county committee passed a budget for the sheriff that they drew up and then called for an audit of the sheriff's office. Sheriff Brandenburg said she'd welcome an audit as long as it was done by an impartial third party. Why are there cuts, you ask? Well, it's because Clackamas County wants to build a new courthouse without increasing taxes. Here's the county administrator, Gary Schmidt.
The big driver this year was to find room in the general fund, or what we normally call, or what property tax base is derived from, to fund the replacement county courthouse. The state of Oregon is paying half of the cost of the construction of this new replacement courthouse, and under direction by the Board of Commissioners, the county general fund will fund the other half. The board is not asking the voters to raise their taxes or fees to pay for this construction. To accommodate this cost, the county general fund will need to pay approximately $15 million a year for 30 years.
Now, I'm not a math major, but that's about $450 million over 30 years. Because of that decision, every department in Clackamas County is taking some sort of a cut. Sheriff Brandenburg submitted her own budget that protected that law enforcement levy, but cut 34 positions, many of them, she said, vacant. She said that during her testimony yesterday, that the sheriff said the levy could not be touched to backfill the county cut.
I just want to be clear. The last thing I want to do is reduce sheriff's office operations and reduce positions. But the law requires me to produce a balanced budget when I have a $5 million cut. Along with my finance team, I worked side by side with the county administrator's finance team for months, but I refused to use the levy to supplant the reduction in general fund support, and the county took my budget from me. And Commissioner Smith admonished me for not publishing my budget in OpenGov. My team did enter the budget in OpenGov. And then the county locked me out and changed my budget because I refused to charge the levy with the general fund shortfall. My budget was erased and replaced with the county's budget.
So, yeah, things are getting a little bit nasty between the two sides. How nasty? Well, consider this exchange in which County Commissioner Ben West accused the sheriff of destroying the morale in her own department.
When the Board of County Commissioners unanimously over and over again said, we will 100% committed to funding your positions, even as Gary Schmidt said, before anybody on this committee had even seen the budget, you sent an internal email out to a number of your staff telling them that they would be laid off. And many of those staff were not sworn staff, but I know that many of your sworn staff felt like they were next and they all had a guillotine hanging over their neck, and it devastated the morale, I believe, in your agency. Why, when we promised publicly and still persist to promise today, do you threaten the good men and women of your agency with layoffs?
The sheriff fired back that her staff had a right to know the consequences of the budget being forced on her by the county commissioners. It's kind of a sore subject. County commissioners repeatedly insisted there's no need for cuts in the sheriff's office. Board Chair Tootie Smith made a point of telling me no one would be cut when I talked with her yesterday afternoon.
Every department has overhead. For years now, the sheriff has not paid allocated costs. She has room in her budget to do that. When we put out the budget, one of the first things she did is notified her employees that she was going to fire people. That was inappropriate. County administrator and the Board of County Commissioners have made a promise that with the budget that we have presented, there would be no firings of the boots on the ground, because we know that's what citizens in this county want. They want strong law enforcement to arrest criminals.
It's kind of an interesting battle with real consequences for people in Clackamas County. The county traditionally has a tougher stance on criminals than, well, Multnomah County, for example. It's all about perception. Commissioners don't want the idea out there that they cut jobs from the sheriff's office. That's not what a law and order county would do. And while the county commissioners ultimately decide how much money the sheriff gets, they maybe or maybe not can control how she spends it. Sheriff Brandenburg has said the levy funds are off limits and that the $5 million cut will have to come from cutting those jobs.
When I asked the voters to support the sheriff's public safety levy in 2021, I promised them I would not allow the county to use the levy to offset a reduction in the county's general fund support. But that is exactly what is happening today. I want to explain to the public what is happening to the levy funds in the county's budget, but I am being prevented from providing information that will inform this process. There is no transparency to the budget process this year.
How about that? So, to summarize, Clackamas County created its own budget for the sheriff's office and passed that one today. The board can still modify the budget before its final adoption next month, and it's unclear whether any positions will be lost or not. The board says no, so we'll see. But once it's voted on and approved, the board's decision is final.